Leaders and managers may not talk about this, but many of them struggle with a basic question. How do I connect as a human at the workplace? Welcome to the Storytelling at Work podcast. I'm your host Vinod Krishna, and here we explore storytelling, communication, leadership, and more. In today's episode, we are talking about something most leaders are aware of, but they rarely speak about. Their question is, how do I build trust and connection, not on the basis of the job title that I hold, but on the basis of who I am? In most workplaces, conversations tend to be dry and transactional. Meetings sound serious, status updates feel like a checklist, even appreciation sometimes comes across as lacking emotion, as though it's some line from a handbook. Good job on the project, well done on the report. In fact, workplaces expect us to be composed, so we show up with what I would call as our professional mask. And while that mask can help us function in the system, it also creates a disconnect. It can make us feel like we have to leave our humanness at the door. During my days at Cisco, John Chambers was a CEO. His all hands meetings were one of the most awaited sessions. The first time I attended John's town halls in person, I was transported to a different world. Firstly, there were no slides. And then he was on stage just for a few minutes, and that's because he loves getting off stage and walking around, making eye contact with people in the hall, taking the audience on a journey. He would tell the story of market opportunities, of how Cisco had the superpower of spotting market trends way before others. And he would then paint in everybody's minds an exciting picture of the future, of the vision, of where the company was heading. He was one of those master storyteller leaders I saw in action. His talk would include anecdotes and stories from his meetings and interactions with various stakeholders, and it would reveal his perspective of both the industry and the company. But there is one story about him that has stayed with me even more. In the mid 90s, he was participating in an event which was called Bring Your Child to Work. There were about 500 employees and their children in the audience. A young girl raised her hand to ask a question, but she froze. In fact, she couldn't get the words out, and then the audience was actually looking at her, and that's when she started to cry. John stepped off the stage and went up to the young girl. As he inquired, she told him she was dyslexic, and she had trouble asking her question out loud in front of everyone. And his response was simple. I am dyslexic too, he said. He shared with her about his disability and how he learned to manage it. His mic was still on, and everyone in the room heard what he shared. John hadn't planned to share that. In fact, he never thought he would share that openly. But later that day, he received a flood of messages from employees saying it was the first time they felt truly connected with him, that they had seen a different side of him, and it made them feel they knew him. As a leader, John had connected with employees beyond his role as a CEO. People usually see an invisible fence around a leader, and while competence earns respect, vulnerability is what is going to build trust. And here's where storytelling opens up opportunities to establish trust. A story does something that a title or a position or a slide deck cannot. Storytelling is how we bring humanness into leadership and the workplace. And this isn't limited to leaders. Every employee, every team member, every manager, they have stories worth telling. It opens up a little window for the world to see who you are, what shaped you, and what matters to you. So here's a small takeaway for today. Go ahead and recall a story maybe a colleague or a leader has shared that resonated with you. And maybe find one of your personal stories that you want to consider sharing with your team. Try it, and it may as well open new pathways in the trust equation. Thanks for tuning into Storytelling at Work. If you enjoyed this episode, do hit subscribe and share it with someone who might find it useful. And as always, if you've got a question or a storytelling challenge at work, just reach out. I'd love to hear from you.